Hello, everybody. It's Rick. It's Saturday, February the 17th, 2018. This is my second video of the day. I did the first video telling you guys how using the Constitution as your foundation is a great way for you to understand the law, and it will protect you. Okay? Any response by them saying, well, this law or that law, you just say, well, then you're depriving me of my rights. Is that what you're telling me? Things like that. You always have a comeback. All right, what you're looking at here. Well, let me get back to my email is rick, rick0327 at me.com. Please keep the emails brief. Please, the way I do things is I'm not a fraud. I'm not on here to rip people off, okay? You don't have anything to worry about me, okay? I don't want to know where you live. I don't want your social security number. I don't want your phone number, okay? I just need a little information for my paperwork, okay? So, if I was to receive a gift by Western Union, I need to know your name. I need to know the state you're coming from. I need to see my name, and I need to see the number, okay? I got people, and it annoys me when I understand people being protective, okay? But I am the last person you have to worry about. I'm the one that has been ripped off many times. That's the reason why I use Western Union now and not PayPal, okay? There are a lot of real pieces of shit out there, okay? And because of that, I got to use Western Union. And also, in my soon to be 50 years of being on this planet and interacting with people, I have found that when people are overly suspicious, it's usually because there's something about them. Okay? I've known people who were, sneak thieves, and what are they afraid of? Well, they're afraid of being, somebody stealing from them all the time. Okay? So I get suspicious, and because I've had people take my paperwork and then sell it, I get suspicious. And on that, uh, you're gonna benefit from getting your paperwork from me. Okay? If you're gonna get it from somebody else and you think you're gonna get it cheaper or whatever, you're not gonna be able to communicate with me by email. All right? And there are many different things that can happen that you're gonna have to email me and find out. I'll give you an example. I just received an email right after I made the last video about an hour ago. And the subscriber and the guy had my paperwork received a notification in the mail that they are going to start, they want to start the process of taking income withholding from him. Well, when that happens, you have 30 days to respond. It just so happens that I have the proper paperwork to respond with. Okay? Now, if he had gotten the papers from somebody else, he'd be screwed. And he wouldn't be able to email me and go, hey, Rick, I got this in the mail today. He sent it to me. I looked at it and boom, I banged it out. I sent him about 6 emails, and he's on his way to properly disputing the income withholding. Okay, a lot of times when they send you these things in the mail, they're not really telling you because it's in the body of they're not going to help you. Let's put it that way. It's up to you to read it and understand it. They're not going to help you. Okay, but I happen to have it, and you have 30 days to respond and dispute it. All right, and that's one of the benefits of dealing directly with me. And again, I'm not asking for a lot of money, guys. Okay, I had a guy the other day claims that he bought the paperwork from somebody else. He didn't realize it was mine. And can you help me? Because it was another one of those scenarios where he sent the paperwork out and got a response, All right, and the response is not always in my paperwork. It comes from here. Okay, and I'm like, well, I'm curious. I'm like, well, where did you get the paperwork? What's the name of the guy? I don't remember. Oh, okay, that's convenient. And I'm like, well, when you remember, you let me know. Until then, no, I'm not going to help somebody that's, using my paperwork without sending a gift. Okay? It doesn't work that way. All right, so validation of debt. Right here, a subscriber of mine validated debt for using my paperwork. 1 second. This is a copy of the email. All right, I had to copy and paste it because I had to, disguise he didn't want his information out there. All right, I will close. Kept the email short, like, yes, this is the number. If you want to call me, I covered the number, obviously. He went back and forth with them, meaning he kept on top of them, demanding to validate the debt. All right, and then he finally threatened them with the writ of mandamus. All right, and this came in the mail today. Oh, I'm awesome too. Thank you. All right, and he got this in the mail. Termination of order for income withholding. Okay, there you go. There's some proof right there. Him using my affidavits for validating the debt. All right, guys, which proves my method of validating the debt works. All right. So, 1 second here. All right, so how do we validate debt? Well, you haven't validated debt. What is a debt? All right. Debt is a state of being under obligation. Let's remember that word, obligation. To pay or repay someone or something in return for something received. Okay? How do you owe a debt for child support? That means you must have received something at some point, right? A state of owing deeply in debt to creditors. Okay? Well, the child support agency, collection agency, is a creditor. They don't want you to notice. Okay? That's why we get the runaround when we send the paperwork in. What is an obligation? It's the action of obligating oneself to a course of action by a promise or vow. All right? A promise or the demands of conscience or custom that obligates one to a course, like, they claim that you are obligated to pay child support. It's a state law. But again, remember, a law, a law cannot apply to you unless you've broken the law. They have to have evidence that you violated the law, right? How can you be convicted? How can you be guilty of a speeding ticket, right? There's speeding laws, unless you are found to be breaking the law. They have evidence of. Okay, so whenever they give you this this law says you have to pay child support and you're obligated, you got to say, well, how do you know I'm not paying child support? All right, there was a case a couple of years ago that made the rounds, and I get emails, people like, hey, this case it happened in 2014. A guy from Rochester won a case because it took a long time, but all he kept saying was, where is the proof that I'm not supporting my children? There are many different ways of supporting your children, not just monetarily. And he forced them, and finally he won the case. Okay? All right, so an obligation is a commitment to pay a particular sum of money, an amount owed under an obligation. It's a contract. All right? Child support is a commercial debt. Remember that, guys. It's a commercial debt. The courts have held child support debts a commercial debt. This is important to understand because these child support agencies, their biggest comeback when we demand the validation of debt, I've seen many, many responses, and they keep claiming that it's not a commercial debt, and then they cite some lower court decision that the Supreme Court and a Court of Appeals, the Federal Court of Appeals, supersedes. All right, and the federal child support laws, federal is interstate. So one state sending money to another state electronically is commercial. Okay, all commercial debts must be validated. So you got to remember this. So, I showed you earlier, Michael, he said he kept going back and forth with them. It doesn't happen immediately. I've had a couple of people win like this the same way. They had to keep going back at these people. All right, so don't think, like, Rick, how long you think it's going to take? I don't know. Okay, we're dealing with, with people who are immoral, who are bullies. They have no pity. Okay, and when cornered, they'll lie before doing the right thing. All right, the debts are required to be recorded somewhere, and the county clerk is the usual place. Most of the time, the financial records or financial debts are supposed to be recorded in the county clerk's office. All right, it's called the docket and lien book, lien and docket book. All right, most child support debts are not recorded in the county clerk as required by state laws. I'll give you an example. In New York, we have CPLR 5016, Family Court Act 460. Requires support orders or money judgments must be signed by a clerk in the county clerk's office. Okay? There's also a United States Code that requires all writs from court's orders must be signed by a clerk. Okay. How do you validate debt? You send a validation of Title 4D debt affidavit. You send it to the child support agency. Demand proof of an undertaking, right? You send it to the child support agency. These are the people that have my paperwork. Notice to the clerk to provide evidence of a money judgment. Demand proof of an undertaking. All right, I have these things. If anybody's interested who has my paperwork, let me know. All right, I have it in the, you guys have the paperwork already. So all you got to do is freeze this page, right? You have my paperwork already, and just follow the instructions. Okay. All right, the case laws. The United States versus Bongiorno. All right. It was held that state court-imposed child support orders are functionally equivalent to interstate contracts. That's why if there's a support order, let's say from Minnesota, or in the case with Michael earlier, there was a support order from Louisiana, and Pennsylvania was enforcing the debt. That's an interstate contract. Okay? So that's if he used to say, well, he already did because he had it terminated. Your defense will be, well, you guys are enforcing. This is for people who have a support order from another state. I'm just giving you an example of how it's a commercial debt. All right, and it's proof that they have to validate it under the what do you call it, the commerce law. Okay, just look up commerce. But I have the information here, so you're good to go. U.S. versus Sage. Another case law. Child support is a commercial debt. U.S. versus Parker. Okay. Come on. This effing thing. All right. These are case laws here. All right. Freeze it. Look them up. All right. And these are when you're dealing with the child support agencies, when you get in touch with them, it's a commerce clause. That's what I was talking about before. Child support is a debt under the commerce clause. It has to be substantiated. It has to be validated. And you want to see BS thrown at you? Try and get a child support agency to validate a debt. All right. Oh, Another way of validating the debt is going to the credit bureaus. All of you are going to have the child support debt on the 3 credit bureaus. All right. Those of you that have my paperwork, it's in my paperwork. All right. One of the best ways of validating child support debt is validating it through the credit bureaus, because the credit bureaus cannot validate the debt within 30 days. You can have them pay you $1,000 fine. Okay. I've had many subscribers do that. All right, because they're not going to be able to validate the debt, and that's another great piece of evidence to prove that there's no debt available. There's no proof of a debt. All right. I showed you before the some laws. All right. All right. United States Code 28 U.S.C. Section 1691. All right. Seal and test the process. All writs and orders from a court must be signed by a judge or a clerk. All right. Here's a case law. The Federal Appeals Court, 9th District. Inasmuch as all writs and processes issuing from a court of the United States are required by statute to be under the seal of the court and signed by clerk thereof. All right. An injunction signed only by a deputy clerk of district court is void. How many of you guys have these child support debts signed only by a deputy clerk? It's void for want of a judicial signature. Okay? Scanby Manufacturing Company versus Tryon. All writs and process issuing from the courts of the United States shall be under the seal of the court from which they issue and shall be signed by the clerk. Again, how many of you guys never seen a clerk? There's a reason for this. They all cover their butts. The clerks know that these child support processes, proceedings are fraud. And they cover their rear ends because they know maybe one day there might be one person who discovered the fraud. Somebody like myself. I'm an Osiris. Okay? All right. What do you do with the evidence? You send the evidence you receive from the credit bureaus, clerk's office, you send it to the child support agency. And you tell them, where's the debt? The clerk's office says, I don't owe a debt. The credit bureau says, I don't owe a debt. That's what Michael did. All right. He took the evidence from the clerk's office that there was no debt, and he sent it to them, and then threatened to file the writ of mandamus. And guess what? They're not enforcing the debt anymore. I showed you the evidence. Okay. And you could freeze that. All right. So that's what you got to do to validate the debt, guys. It's very important, and it's really not that difficult. If you want my paperwork, all right, reach out to me at Rick, RICK, 0327 @me.com. Okay, enjoy the rest of your Saturday.